Yes, Sunday is here. It's another Sunday. And Richie, as I say, if it's Sunday...
It is Sunday Scoops time. I'm just looking at that. That shirt look very familiar. Reggae.
Glasses for talk.
Gregory Phillip, man. Well, listen, I just want to use the opportunity, even before we say anything else, to welcome the erstwhile Mr. Gregory Phillip to the program with us here at Sunday Scoop as we continue this. Well, it could be, we consider that continuation of what we did last week. Yeah. The discussion today centers around Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the right excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and his influence on Jamaican music, ostensibly Jamaica's reggae music genre. And we are bringing in the heavyweights today, and one of them is sitting right here wearing our reggae music shirt. Let me just introduce Mr. Jeffrey Phillip. Jeffrey, how you do?
Everything all right, you know. Everything good. Everything Irish, you know. And I in keeping with Marcus Garvey, you know, so I buy this shirt over a year ago. So it's like, you know, if we not support one another, where we do? So
UNIA in effect, yeah. In full effect.
Yeah, man.
Well, listen, before we're gonna get started with the right way, and the man who controls the wheels of steel over here is again Big G. The Garth Hendricks. And Garth, I suspect you have something on the turntable lineup
for today.
Let us hear from you.
We're going to kick it off in fine style with part 1 and part 2 version, Burning Spear and Big.
Seeing we've just been joined by Dr. Michael Barnett and Dr. Barnett, and I'll run through both the introductions for both the gentlemen in a couple of seconds here as we get ourselves organized. Today we're really shooting from the hip, two big heavyweights, right? And so we just want to get us kind of off the road here. Dr. Barnett, welcome to the program again. Thanks for taking the time to spend a part of your Sunday afternoon with us here at Sunday Scoops. How are you today, sir?
Yes, Richard. Yes, man. Great. I'm feeling all the better after hearing the burning spear. So collecting that gas there, you know. Just set the Sunday on the right vibe, you know.
There you go. Well, listen, again, let me just start out with Dr. Barnett, a senior lecturer in the Department of Sociology, Psychology, and Social Work at the University of the West Indies' Mona campus in Kingston, Jamaica. And of course, Dr. Barnett's areas of specialism are critical race theory, the African diaspora studies, and sociological theory. He has authored numerous journal articles on Marcus Garvey, as well as on matters concerning race and identity in general. He has notably authored a book on Rastafari entitled The Rastafari Movement, a North American and Caribbean Perspective. Additionally, he has edited the popular Rastafarian anthology entitled Rastafari in the New Millennium, co-edited the Rastafari book Leonard Percival Howell and the Genesis of Rastafari, and the Rastafari anthology entitled A 2020 Vision Perspective on the Rastafari Movement. I'm coming to you, Jeffrey, so don't be, not to be undone, just wanna, Doc, did I get that correct, sir?
Yeah, man. Great.
All right.
Big up. Yeah,
well, Jeffrey Phillip, on the other hand, is another man who has, you know, I've had my little experiences with Jeffrey, where Jeffrey had a couple of writing clinics, and eminent author. Did I get that right, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I would take
Jeffrey has written on Marcus Garvey himself. The works, and I'm just trying to pull something up here while we speak. The Ghost of Garvey's Ghost. That's the title of your work, Jeffrey?
Yes, and purposefully named because of Burning Spear
album.
and then Burning Spear going back to Rose, who did the original Garvey's Ghost. So maybe I should have, for commercial purposes, named it Missing in Miami. But,
Missing in Miami.
Yeah, because it's really about a girl who run away from home to try find herself, and she get lost.
Yes.
But so I thought a commercial viability of it, and I wanted to show the definite linkage between Burning Spear and the original Garvey's Ghost, Max Roach.
Well, guess what? We have 2 hours today, and we're gonna make that link, that missing link, as you call him. But you know, Jeffrey is also a well-established poet, right? And as I said earlier, I had my own taste with Jeffrey when we were. I attended one of his workshops, writing workshops, and you know, I must confess that it has helped my writing considerably, although I haven't published anything since. But gentlemen, again, let me use the opportunity to welcome you both to the program. What we're doing here, as I said in my little brief to you both, we're not trying to rehash Garvey's work. That speaks for itself. What we want to look at, though, while we will take glances at his work and aspects of Garveyism, we want to look at how that has helped to
solidify, propel Jamaica's popular
and
music.
even before that, how it has helped to influence the music that has been produced in Jamaica. We also want to look at a critical question, something that I've been asking myself, because Garvey came to prominence in terms of the music, particularly in that 1970s period. And so a question I want to throw at you both is, why then and not earlier, you know, since the whole Garvey revolution, if you will, began in the 1920s, 1930s, and Garvey left us, you know, a few years after that. He only lived to, what, 53 years of age. And but then it took another 20 or 30 years before that prominence, the work of Garvey, came back to the fore, in like a hurricane and an earthquake combined together in terms of its impact on the music. Your thoughts, Doc? Doc, you may want to take that. Yes.
Yeah. So as we were saying last week, that you see the Rastafari influence on reggae music, on popular Jamaican music was notable from the 60s, where we could go back to 59 with Old Carolina with the Folks Brothers, yes, and Count Basie and Mr. Webb, but and Through the Sky era and so forth. But when it really peaked, as we were saying last week, and some people may differ, but the 70s was when the Rastafari influence peaked in Jamaican popular music. That it was pregnant with messages, because of, you know, Mighty Diamonds, Wailing Souls, you know, Burning Spear himself, and so forth. So that what we see is that Rastafari, and I have to big up Jeffrey, though, before I forget, because we know each other from long time, from so far.
Oh, so the tone of a friend from Quiet Things.
A small world,
yes,
world. Used to there, so Florida, for a few years. And I also want to give a big up as well for Ijabulani Tafari, who, yes, who wrote the book, A Rastafari View on Marcus Garvey. So yes, what he is able to do was make the link that, you see, Rastafari can be considered the successors of Marcus Garvey. They carried on his vision and his ideology even after his passing.
Yes.
So that within the movement, his ideology of repatriation, of the connecting with Africa, you know, Africans at home and abroad was his mantra and so forth. You know, Rastafari carried that consciousness within the movement, but it wasn't able to come true in the music until really the music, you know, was pregnant with the message of Rastafari, which was the 70s. So here comes Winston Rodney. Here come Mighty Diamonds. You know, here come Jimmy Cliff, because even Jimmy Cliff, you know, we have to give respect where it's due, you know, who, I mean, his song Sons of Garvey, Mighty Diamonds, Right Time mentioned Marcus Garvey. You know, Fred Locks, 7 Miles of Black Star Liner in the 70s. Culture, 2/7's Clash. And then the British groups, Aswad, you know, did a song on, do you remember what Garvey said in the song Tradition? And Steel Pulse, Rally Around the Flag, Rally Around the red, black, and green, and so forth. You know, so what we see is all of these roots reggae groups in the 70s pushing out the message of Marcus Garvey and promoting his name. And Winston Rodney has been the most prolific. You know, Winston Rodney, I'm talking about Burning Spear, of course. And I think some people say because I was born in the parish of St. Anne and so forth was why he basically respected Marcus Garvey so much. But I think it's more than that. He just genuinely, you know, was very ardent about spreading, reviving Marcus Garvey's name. So out of all the reggae artists, we could probably give him credit for really popularizing and bringing back Marcus Garvey on the forefront of the Jamaican landscape, you know. But without that Rastafari presence in reggae music in the 70s, we wouldn't have had that promotion of African consciousness of Marcus Garvey and so forth. That's my argument. In a nutshell.
Marcus Garvey's face would probably just be another national hero.
Or would he have been a national hero? Jeffrey?
Well, part of it is also remember we gained our independence in 1962. So on the one hand, there was Rastafari, but remember, once you start getting into this sort of nationalist frame, that was what Marcus Garvey was all about, building up a national consensus. And at the same time, with the help of Edward Seaga, pushing in Marcus Garvey, saying, here is the first national hero, and bringing Garvey into focus. So you have both of these things coming in at the same time. Rastafari flowering in the 60s, but also the sense of nationalism, the sense of we need to do this for ourselves, which was what Marcus Garvey was all about. Nationalism, he said, you know, nationalism is the highest ideal, nationhood is the highest ideal that a people can aspire to. So both of these coming in at the same time and maturing and finding, because, you know, you can write songs, but the songs cannot be very good, you know, but it flowers in the genius of Burning Spear, of Peter Tosh, of the Wailing Souls, Fred Locks, Johnny Clark. So you have this coming, Bob Marley. So you have this coming together of creative genius with just the times, and also, despite the fact that even during the 60s, even right now, people still fighting down Marcus Garvey.
In fact, that's a good point. I'm not going to just use that as a thing. You mentioned Johnny Clark. They never love poor Marcus, and I think it's a good way, as a sort of a segue. We also have to remember that because our show is a music show, and we really want to keep our listeners entertained as well. But let's give a listen to Johnny Clark. Stay.
Yes, we're back.
Yes, gentlemen. We couldn't miss the opportunity to flash those two issues, and we want to talk a little bit about the Black Star Liner as well, and this kind of way why it was so significant, because there's so many artists who visited that particular topic of the Black Star Liner. Jeffrey, we interrupted you earlier. So let me ask you to take that before we go to Dr. Barnett.
And an important part that I didn't mention was the burgeoning of the 12 tribes of Israel with Jalov Music, who produced 7 Miles of Black Star Liner with Fred Locks.
We used to call Fred Locks Bully Dread.
Yes. You know, I heard Fred Locks, because Jalov used to live behind me in Mona Heights.
Right.
And I heard Fred Locks rehearsing it. And because I woke up the morning and I hear the drumming and I hear the singing. And I said, Jalov, get some new speaker. And it's not till I go around the other side of the road. I see Fred Locks sit down with the hydrant. And them just a beat out 7 miles of black. I was like, what? And then 3 months later,
The song
here it
came.
over Jalov music. So 12 Tribes of Israel has a very integral part to play because now you're moving Rastafari and you're moving Marcus Garvey into the middle class of Jamaica. And so, you know, in a sense, I don't want to downplay it, but Rastafari and Marcus Garvey become acceptable to middle class tastes.
Doc, your thoughts?
Yeah, Jeffrey brought up a good point there, which I didn't really touch on last week, was that the 12 Tribes of Israel's emergence, 1968, was when that mansion of Rastafari was founded by Vernon Carrington, otherwise known as Gatman. But basically, so as we come into the 70s, they had a definite, they had a strong influence on the Jamaican landscape in that the reggae music was something that they were very much immersed in. In fact, more than the other mansions of Rastafari, and came to be known as the reggae mansion of Rastafari. They used to have monthly concerts and so forth, and with Jalov as the sound system, and a lot of the members were artists. You know, Bob Marley, notably, Dennis Brown, were notable members of the 12 Tribe Mansion. You know, Fred Locks is another notable member. So they, in their own way, they helped to reinforce the presence of Rastafari artists in terms of the reggae landscape in the 70s. So they not only just the middle class became more connected with Rastafari because I guess their location, you know, they were on Hope Road. The headquarters is right there on Hope Road, and you know, as Jeffrey was saying, you know, with Jalov being based over in Mona Heights as well, so they had a presence within the middle class community of Jamaica, and therefore also brought the Rastafari message to the middle class, so that the movement starts to increase, to go
Gain
beyond
momentum.
the lower class levels and actually reach all the other strata levels of the society.
You made a point there, a strong point. Because Rasta, to a large extent, when we looked at the period of the 1930s up to the 1960s, it was a sort of a downtown group, so to speak. By the time 12 Tribes of Israel and its membership, if you looked at who comprised the membership around the formation of the 12 Tribes movement, not only were the entertainers being pulled in, but you have people like, in fact, the former opposition leader, Dr. Peter Phillips, was a 12 Tribes man, and a lot of the movement gained traction at the University of the West Indies, and then to a lesser extent at CAST, which is now known as University of Technology. And so it sort of smaditized Rastafari then, if you to use Rex Netleford's term, as a smaditization. But it also says that the work, Garvey's message of sort of creating a black society with a certain level of, for want of a better term, an egalitarianism, where there's equity, so to speak. If we reach out to each other and try to pull each other up, you know, that enhances our growth. And I think that's what one of the big roles of a group like 12 Tribes. Jeffrey?
And at the same time, you have to realize that with musical groups like Third World, who are coming in, and basically middle class youth, Cat Core being
son of a minister.
So yeah, and celloist and all of this, all right. And then on top of this, you have Walter Rodney, who is having his movement within the University of the West Indies, and also talking about this nationalism, and talking about Rastafari, and talking about Marcus Garvey. So you have the sort of grounding of the students at the University of the West Indies, who will go on to become lecturers, who will go on to become the teachers and the lecturers and within Jamaican society. So they, in fact, so you have this crucible of all these elements coming in: Jamaican nationalism, Rastafari, Marcus Garvey, growing middle class with expectations and everything else, and the music really flowering at this time. Coming a long way from the Old Carolina, with even the groundbreaking Natty Dread. Because if you listen to even a song like Revolution or Them Belly Full, but more so Revolution, where you hear Seco beating out the Borough style rhythm, and introducing that into the lexicon of Jamaican music. So that is leaps and bounds away from the sort of laid back Rastafari music with Bob and the Wailers, because you can't leave Peter Tosh with his song Moses out of the mix of talking about Marcus Garvey.
And as you talk about Moses and Peter Tosh, we are kind of up on a break. We want to get a little taste, and when we, but first of all, let us recognize our sponsors. And when we come back, Doc, I wanted to just get your take on this whole, this part of the development. And again, I just want to look at the focus, how Marcus fitted in. Let's go to break, gentlemen. Wow, I need equal rights and justice. I have to credit DMR Media for the graphics that they have been able to footage that they've been able to dig up to really drive this program. But Doc, I want to touch back on the Black Star Line shipping company, because it would have been a significant aspect of Garvey's program, and it seemed to have, like a magnet, it drew scores of singers, entertainers who sought to put the Black Star Liner concept into music. Your thoughts?
Well, the Black Star Line Steamship Company was probably the pinnacle of Garvey's entrepreneurial program, because he had within his ideology many branches of nationalism. The way I see it, economic nationalism was one. The black people, African people, needed to develop corporations, businesses, and their own economy. So not only was the Black Star Line Steamship Company created for the purpose of transporting people, of reinforcing the link between Africa and the diaspora, the African, us out in the West, but also trading goods and items and so forth. So this encapsulated a very ambitious and well thought through program of direct linkage with the continent, because Garvey realized that black people could only actualize themselves as a community or confraternity, as he would have said, if there were direct links and practical links. Now, unfortunately, that program was sabotaged by the FBI, as we've come to realize in history. There were undercover agents who deliberately undermined that program. But nonetheless, the idea, it captured the hearts and minds, the imagination of his membership, his millions membership of the UNIA, who bought stock in the company. So even when that went down, he tried to resurrect the shipping company under a different name, but he still tried to keep the dream alive, And then he came into legal problems, of course, in the U.S. and ended up in Atlanta jail, unfortunately. But all of this was because his vision was so strong and so, emblematic of what Black people could achieve when they put their minds to it. But we see, looking at the FBI records, that, he was seen as a threat to national security, and that J. Edgar Hoover said we want to prevent the rise of a Black Messiah, which apparently, this is what Marcus Garvey symbolized. So it was a great dream, and it's still something I think that that we need to build on today, because in terms of forging stronger links with the continent of Africa, with a shipping line would be very useful right now. But this captured the imagination of our Black people all over the world because of the depth and the strength of the vision.
Excellent. Something, and I want you to take this this issue here, Jeffrey, because the UNIA, from which all of this essentially sprang, the UNIA started back in Jamaica by Garvey after he had finished his scholarships back in the United Kingdom, and of course the authorities in Jamaica didn't necessarily take him seriously. Most Jamaicans tended to look at Garvey as an upstart, a man with a
pipe dream.
With a pipe dream. That's what, thanks God. Jeffrey, the UNIA and its value to Jamaica, to Garvey's movement, and Doc just made the point that the movement grew to millions in membership. But yes, the start of the UNIA and the concept as it was birthed in Jamaica, Jeffrey, your thoughts?
Well, I saw a post on Facebook the other day, and there was somebody, I think it was, anyway, they were saying, boy, I wish Bob could have lived to have seen his vision. And the person said, Bob saw this, it's only now we seen it. And I would say the same thing happened with Garvey. Garvey had a vision of African redemption. And this again, you tie it in with Rastafari. Something that Jamaica always said to me, what the I defend. In other words, Rastafari and Marcus Garvey are asking you to live authentic lives. Are you living an authentic life as an African? And this was what the UNIA was all about. Setting up not a central body in which the dreams, the aspirations, the unification of Africa and Africans at home and abroad would be realized. Because at the same time, realize that Garvey is leading an anti-imperialist, anti-colonial movement. And so he is not going to tolerate, if you want, any kind of backsliding into this sort of neo-colonial mental slavery, which is what the UNIA is at the forefront of doing, of creating this alternate reality, right? And I don't mean alternate reality in a bad way. Like in the Matrix, the blue pill, the red pill. What Garvey is trying to do with the UNIA is to get to us to look at ourselves and our lives through what he called Ethiopian spectacles.
Hi there. If you enjoyed that clip, go on over to our website at yardmedia.com, where you can watch the entire broadcast at your leisure. And while you're there, why don't you check out our other reggae music features? And before you leave, pick up some of our Jamaican reggae merchandise, and hey, don't forget to tell your friends.